order at 9 o'clock exactly. And I'll ask everyone to rise for the singing of our national anthem. So item 1.0, additions to the agenda. Are there any additions? Councillor Dawes.
Yes, there are. Carol and I are on the Sustainability Committee, and there are a couple of things I would like to add to the agenda. One of them is the rain barrels, partnering with one of the local businesses. I'd like to discuss that. And also would be selling water bottles for the month of April, as April is Earth Month, and the theme this year is eliminating plastics. So that is two.
Okay. So we add a 7.4. Okay. Any other additions to the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Butts, all in favor? That is carried. So item 3.0, corrections and amendments to the February 7th, 2018 regular meeting council meeting minutes. Is there any corrections or amendments to those minutes? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adopt those minutes? Councillor Mana, all in favor? That is carried. So items 5.0 is the proclamation for the Children's Wish Month. So proclamation for the Children's Wish Month for March 2018. On March 1st, 2018, Children's Wish Foundation kicks off a month-long campaign to celebrate the magic of a wish through 31 days of fundraising and referral recognition across Canada. Whereas Children's Wish Foundation of Canada is the largest and only all-Canadian wish-granting charity dedicated to granting wishes to Canadian children between the ages of 3 and 17 who are diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. Whereas since 1984, Children's Wish has looked tirelessly to grant heartfelt wishes to nearly 25,000 children and their families. Whereas funds raised during the campaign will assist the Alberta and Northwest Territories chapters towards the goal of granting 130 wishes in 2018. Now therefore, I, Mayor Michael Dirksen, do hereby proclaim that the month of March in 2018 shall be recognized as Children's Wish Month in the town of Drayton Valley. So with that, we'll move on to our delegations, item 6.0. And 6.1 is the Drayton Valley Triathlon.
All right, good morning, Honorable Mayor, Council, Administration, and guests. I am proud to be here today representing the 2018 Triathlon Committee. My name is Mandy Anderson, and I am the marketer and spokesperson for the Triathlon Committee. Here with me today, I have Sharon Oakey. Give a little wave, Sharon. She's our race director. I have Lynette Nienover, our committee chair, Heather Pollard, our school liaison, and Tom Hendricks with the Drayton Valley Hospitality and Tourism Authority Executive Director, who is also our title sponsor for the 2018 triathlon. Our goal this year is to promote Drayton Valley as an active and healthy community, building upon rural tourism opportunities and community development. We are looking forward to another great event in our community as we enter the 7th annual triathlon on May 12th of this year. We're really hoping to see everybody out, either volunteering or running the race. And with that, I would like to ask Tom Hendricks with the Drayton Valley Hospitality and Tourism Authority to come forward and say a few words for us. Thanks, Tom.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. We're very proud this year to be the title sponsor for the Drayton Valley Triathlon. We're approaching this on the basis of, should things work out, this is the first year we will be involved in this level. We will be providing marketing dollars as well as operational dollars. We'll also be providing expertise in the form of press service, media contact, and building the marketing plan, as well as showing the Triathlon Committee how that marketing dollar can be doubled through Travel Alberta. So we're very proud to be a part of this. It meets all our goals. It's good for the community, it's good for not-for-profits, it's good for business, it's good for tourism, and we want to see it grow. We don't expect it's going to be 1,000 people this year, but give us a couple of years. Thank you.
Is that all, folks? Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, sure, there's
Short and sweet.
Yes, so when is the triathlon this year?
May 12th.
May 12th. I'm just going through,
I'll sign you up, you can run it. Swim, bike, run.
okay. And so later on in our decision items, we will be looking at road closures for the triathlon. So, but with delegation, is there any questions or comments people have from the folks that came down? No? Oh, Councilor Butts.
Just like I said, I'm excited to hear that GVHJ is involved in this year. I look forward to seeing what you guys can do.
Thank you very much. Part of the goal is to expand the reach. So the marketing plan we're developing is going to reach out to Hinton, Edson, Whitecourt, Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, Eppington, Red Deer, and Rocky Mountain.
Have you guys had any pre-registration already? Kind of an indication of where?
We're at 32 today.
32. And what was the number for last year?
Last year we were about 120 and we're hoping for 300 this year.
I know it's it has been fairly substantial in years past. I think we had a bit of a dip there. So excellent. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the final numbers and what how many outside people we can bring to our community. So I do think it's a good event, and thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us. And we'll be looking at the road closure request very shortly.
Thank you.
So with that, delegation 6.2 is January 2018 RCMP stats. So Staff Sergeant Calaboo and Sergeant Evans to
Mr. Mayor, councillors, just to go over the Drayton Valley detachment statistics that you were provided with. I do have some additional information and some things that I can explain to you with regards to those that were provided. To begin with, we did have 5 impaired charges that were laid in the month of January, along with 1 24-hour suspension. We did write 59 tickets of various different violations, and we had 58 patrol logs that were submitted. With regards to the stats that you were provided with, you can see that between last year and this year, with regards to our assaults, we did increase by 1. And if I can explain that, one of them we did lay a charge in. 2 of them were incidents that occurred out at the various lounges in town. They were intoxicated individuals that decided that they didn't want to get into any kind of charges. One was a child custody issue, so it was considered to be unfounded because it really had nothing to do with any kind of assaults. And another one was unsubstantiated because it was an individual who, once we delved further into it and investigated, no assault had occurred whatsoever. You'll see that we had one for extortion, which is somewhat a little different than normal. That was a blackmail situation. The person had met somebody through one of the websites, Tinder, as a matter of fact, and the individual on the other end who had created a fake account had said that they wanted intimate figure photos of them, and I'm assuming they provided them with them, and if they didn't provide them with some amount of money, then they would post these photos on the web. So unfortunately, because there was a fake ID used, and because of the fact that it was a fake account, we have no ability to be able to trace. We have been in contact with the complainant, and the complainant did not provide anything, did not provide any money, and so far there has been nothing further happened with that one. So, with regards to the criminal harassment, you'll see that from last year we were at 3, and this year in January we're down to 1. It was a unwanted communications. Somebody was receiving some text messages which they didn't want to receive. They didn't want any charges. It was a matter of just contacting the subject of complaint and saying, stop sending messages, and they did. So that one was solved that way. Break and enters, now you see, have gone from 3 up to 27, which is a sharp increase. I did do some analysis on that. 10 were basically break and enters to businesses, and of those we had one which was a break and enter to a motel room at the Coach Motel. 3 of those were the liquor stores in town, were smash and grab type things. One was an attempted at one of the Petrocan stations. And the rest of them were basically break and enters to other outbuildings, sheds, yards, that sort of thing. One was a break and enter to a residence in which we were able to apprehend the individual, and charges have been laid in that particular situation. Again, we go back to the idea of crime reduction through environmental design. I've actually looked at a few things the other day that a lot of these instances where we have people out there breaking into sheds and that sort of thing, if you even have motion sensor lights, we had one that came through yesterday that as soon as the motion sensor light came on, they took off. Right? So those are things that people can do to help with that type of thing as well. Thefts of motor vehicles, you'll see that we went up from 4 till 10 this past month. 3 of those 10 had keys that were in the vehicle. Okay. One was a motorcycle which was recovered shortly after. One was actually a bicycle, 2 cars and 3 trucks. And 1 SUV. And I've got some further information as to what we have been doing to, or how what our stats are with regards to the individuals that we've arrested over the past month and a half with regards to those stolen vehicles and that type of thing. The theft over 5,000 went from 0 to 2. One was sea cans that had been broken into, and another one was a welding truck that had been broken into and several items stolen off of it. And of course, because those are very specific tools that are used, they're quite expensive. With regards to the theft unders, we're went from 29 to 35. 4 of those were thefts of gas from vehicles, whether being siphoned out or in some cases they've actually drilled holes into gas tanks and stolen gas that way. We did have laid 1 charge in one of those situations, and that came from following the footsteps and everything over to where they were. So we have laid a charge there. One was a attempted theft of a propane bottle from a barbecue. One was a gas and dash. 4 of them were shoplifting, and 15 were theft from motor vehicles. Again, in some of those cases, the motor vehicles had been left unlocked. Actually, 3 of them had been left unlocked. With possession of stolen property, it says that there was 5. Actually, we did have 7 in which we've laid charges. Other criminal code is a subject that encompasses pretty much everything from pornography to body houses to breaches, fail to appears, that sort of thing. So you'll see that we did have a significant increase of 10 to 24. 11 of those were breaches, fail to appears, fail to complies with conditions that we have laid charges in. 1 was a resisting peace officer charge. 9 of those were causing disturbances, disturbing the peace, which the majority of them involved some kind of intoxication. 1 was also an incident that happened at the Omniplex during a hockey game, in which parents kind of the parents from both teams got into a little bit of an altercation. The other provincial statutes have seen a bit of an increase as well, and those were basically landlord-tenant disputes, so civil-type situations. Now, we have, in the past month and a half, or actually I think Councillor Wheeler had asked the other day if we could determine how many vehicles had keys left inside or had been left running or unlocked and that sort of thing. And I did do some statistics on that. Between July 1st and today, we had 71 vehicles that were stolen. And 1/4 of those, 18 of those, had the keys that were left inside. Okay. The thefts from the motor vehicles since July, we've had 95 reported, and 42 of those had been left unlocked with valuables inside. So in the past month and a half, basically, I know I'm going from January until the middle of February, we have actually arrested and charged 9 people with possession of stolen property, basically stolen vehicles that we've managed to locate and arrest. 4 have been also, 4 different individuals have been charged with theft under, catching them breaking into the Petrocan locked, I think it was the vacuum, so trying to break in and get the coins out of the vacuum. And a couple of other things, theft from vehicles. And we've arrested 12 on outstanding warrants. So we're catching them and we're putting the bad guys in jail, and our prolific offenders are also being put in jail. So I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing some kind of a decrease in those break-and-enters and those property thefts and that type of thing. So, any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Dawes?
So the arrests that were made, are they repeat offenders?
Yes, they are. So in the majority of the cases, they have been remanded into custody. There have been some that, for whatever reason, the justice system has decided that they should be let out, but we're keeping track.
I can just add here too that when we say multiple, like these are very much long criminal record
Yes.
offenders, so they're well acquainted with the criminal justice system. So.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we deal with those individuals?
We are dealing with remove them by doing our job, which is catching them and, you know, taking them before the justice. And after that, unfortunately, it is out of our hands with whatever they just determine to do. We just have to keep on, just keep catching them.
One more thing that I can just add to that too is I think if you probably noticed in our local paper, there's been an addition of names of people who have been charged. We're trying to educate the public as to who these people are, and we are lawfully allowed to name these people when there's been a formal swearing of a charge laid. So what that means is that it's a matter of public record, right? So that means that anybody here could go into a courthouse and find out that information for themselves. So when we're dealing with property crime people, we're trying to say who they are at this point, because again, enough's enough. We got to start educating the public as to who these people are.
So, Councilor Mena?
Regarding the digital theft that you talked about before, I've come across some seniors that their computers and laptops got accessed by someone remotely, and then they're demanding for money or iTunes cards or something. So, have you seen an increase of that lately?
Actually, we haven't had as many reports as what we had previously. I know that earlier, or towards the latter part of last year, we did have quite an increase of the number of people that were getting this scam. I think it's out there pretty good now, where people are well aware that these are scams, and you know, if somebody asks you to provide them with iTunes cards, and you know, it should send up a red flag saying this isn't probably legit, right? Or Bitcoin, you know. So they actually, we have not had as many complaints of that type of thing.
So when somebody complains to you, especially if they've given money to these parties, how does it proceed from there onwards?
We can do our best to do an investigation. However, in a lot of cases, they are setting up fake email accounts, fake, so they're untraceable. We do have them contact the fraud center, and we provide them with that information. And certainly if they've provided them with any kind of personal information whatsoever, we advise them that they have to cancel that right away, and that way, identity theft is not going to become an issue.
Any other questions? Councilor Peebles?
Thank you, Your Worship. Some of the stats you guys shared with us there about from July to February, those are really good. I think as a community we could probably start putting that out there so people understand. But what are some other things that people can do just to prevent something like that from happening? So, like you gave us a couple of things, obviously locking your vehicle, not keeping valuables inside.
Yeah.
But even what we're noticing on the people breaking into sheds, those kinds of things, we can put out a good communication piece just to kind of educate people.
Again, like motion lights. The motion sensor lights are one of the biggest deterrents because people do not want to be seen, and so they're breaking into these sheds because it's dark, right? And they are not being observed, obviously. You put a motion sensor light out there that all of a sudden lights them up, then they tend to leave fairly quickly. The same thing is what they'll do if an alarm goes off. They're like, ooh, we're out of here. So that, I think, is one of the big things. We're still working on some of the ideas that, and I know we discussed having a meeting to discuss how we can best deal with this type of thing. But like I said, I noticed over the past couple of days, I've seen a couple of reports come in where somebody is lurking around and their motion sensor light comes on and they just, whoop, they're out of there, right? Because they don't want to be visible. I mean, darkness is a very nice cover, right? So.
I'm just going to add to that. One of the other things that I'm seeing and getting a lot of anecdotal stories from various people that come in contact with me is they're actually encountering these people. But what they're doing is they're dealing with them and they're not letting us know. So they're, telling them, get the, out of here, with whether strong words and kind of pushing them out of the area, but they're not letting us know this. And I'm encouraging people when I come across these stories, you have to let us know. because then we have the opportunity to track where these guys are going. We can possibly trace them back to other scenes where this is happening. But if we don't know that information, if the public isn't telling us, we need that cooperation and partnership. So again, stressing, and even for the media to stress that it's really important on all of these cases to let us know. It's not a waste of our time. It's what we need to do in order to start reducing this problem. So,
I guess just to kind of follow up to that, I appreciate the comments, and I think we're onto something. But like I had mentioned to you guys before, I'd love to see Brazeau County, town, the police as well, our CPOs represented as well, kind of come to a plan. And then even if we had a public session where we were really clear about, as a community, here's the strides we're going to take. That'd be great.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea, and I said that before. I mean, that was one of the ideas that I was thinking of as well, as bringing everybody together, because collectively it is an issue, and we all need to look at somehow ways that we're going to be able to combat this and make sure that we decrease the number of break and enters and that type of thing goes. So I am definitely all for that, and I mean, I'm willing to try and arrange something if that's what you like. I have no issues with pulling something together so that we have everybody, including the communities, because the citizens of the communities are also, we need something so that we can come up with solutions. Okay, we can complain about it all we want, but we need solutions. And we can do that together.
Okay.
My last question for today. Well, that's not true. So regarding some of the law changes coming forward with cannabis, I just from a policing standpoint, later on we're going to be just kind of having some questions and stuff out there. But from your guys' standpoint, what are you guys seeing from a policing perspective? Is there going to be a need for increased service across Canada? Should there be opportunity for funding from the province? What kind of things are we looking at?
They really haven't let us know too much with regards to how we're going to begin policing this at this point in time, that I'm aware of anyways. They haven't provided us with a lot of information with regards to that.
I can probably speak to that too. I know from an Alberta RCMP perspective, some of the communications that they're working on a strategy and a plan. How that impacts the municipalities is yet to be seen, and that's something that I'm looking very much forward to, because I've been doing this job almost 2 decades, and the thing is, in my anecdotal experience of doing this, is that marijuana has some very genuine bona fide uses medicinally when it's prescribed by a doctor. I know from my wife being in the healthcare industry that there's certain benefits that can be utilized in that area, pain control, that type of thing. However, the general public right now needs to understand the age is still illegal until it becomes into force, so they can't start doing it beforehand. The second thing is that there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, I think, trying to figure out how to best do this. With any new huge change, we're bringing a controlled substance into the legal possession type of situation. There's issues with impairment. How is that going to address the drivers on the roadways? That's a major concern of mine. Because again, public safety is always at the forefront of everything that we do. My main concern is once we get more information on that and the plans in place for how we're going to be doing things, I think right now we could speculate all we want, but until we actually start to see where this is hitting, I think it's going to be more reactionary, I think, than it is. There is going to be some plans put in place, but we really don't know what we're walking into until we get there, I think.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to 7.0 decision items, I will ask Mr. Martino Brady for 7.1 on intermunicipal development plans, conflict resolution information.
Thank you. Your Worship, members of council. If I may take the liberty of reading and addressing some of the items that were brought forward by the previous delegation as well, I will note, Councillor Peebles, that there is crime prevention through environmental design standards, which have been developed by law enforcement professionals and are practiced by planners. Definitely my staff are trained, as well as myself, in that type of item, and it's something that you could look at as a community as a trial basis, even to advise residents on how they might harden targets within their own property, such as with lighting, natural surveillance, or access management. Also, as a note, I will advise the council that I am bringing a strategy or request for consultation with the public for Brazeau County to our council on March 6th for consideration. And one of those options is considering engaging town residents as well as Breton Village residents, should they choose to go that path as well. So, moving on to the actual item within your agenda, we are looking at a report which has been fielded by our consultants, McLean, for your consideration. During their earlier conversations with both councils and administrations, they noted that there was some non-correspondence or correlation between different levels of knowledge on previous disputes between the town and the county, given that we do have a relatively new council in the town and some very seasoned members on the Brazeau County Council. Also, varying levels of administrative background. So with that, we have provided this paper. This is intended to make sure that you're coming from a level of understanding on the different options that are out there that are practiced within different municipalities and kind of get those juices going. You guys should be having a mid-March discussion specifically with our consultants. We would encourage that you review, all members of council review this document, as well as discuss any background or history with regards to previous disputes with the county that may have occurred with the town, so that we can work through those issues positively. I will note that on April 1st, this isn't mentioned in the report, but on April 1st of this year, we will be having the Modernized Municipal Government Act additions of municipal collaboration frameworks added to the Act officially, as well as the regulations. Those regulations are very lengthy with regards to arbitration rules. Our hope is that we can work through intermunicipal dispute issues through this process so that we can determine those results at home versus asking a lawyer to tell us what our planning will be, as well as our agreements for service. So with that, I am available for questions. However, I will be presenting this report on March 6th to my council.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Mr. Verhaeghe before I move it to a motion? Okay. Oh, Councillor Peebles.
Well, thanks for coming. I know from sitting on this committee with Councillor Dotz and you sitting with Councillor Dressler and whatever Anthony's last name is. And Heinrich, yes, right. You know, I feel like, I know McElhenney, they're saying it could take up to 18 months, but even just seeing how cohesive it already is, we fully expect that we're going to move this process quickly. So I appreciate having this, but hopefully we don't even have to entertain the conflict resolution.
Well, ultimately speaking, you don't want to have to use your conflict resolution or dispute issues or processes, but making sure they work definitely avoids those longer drawn out conflicts that could probably be avoided.
So I'd like to make a motion on this. Councillor Dodds.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion that council accept the attached conflict resolution issue paper as information.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none. Last question, all in favor? That is passed. Thank you for your time, sir. So, decision item 7.2, I'll call Ms. Falke for the road closure request for the 7th annual Great Valley Triathlon on May 12th. If I were to describe a little bit further down, I will try to ask the question. So, go ahead, thank you.
Good morning. I'm here on behalf of the Triathlon Committee to ask for Council's approval for the road closures for the triathlon on, as Mayor Dirksen said, May 12th. That encompass the route here in town for the safety of all of the athletes involved. It's important that we close the roads. We have some younger children on the route that don't understand car-bicycle dynamics sometimes, and so it's better just to have the route closed for all safety of all of the concerned.
Okay. So I'm going up to some questions before we make a motion on this. I will ask the first question. Just looking at these maps, this looks very similar to past years. Is it the same as
Correct.
last year?
It's the same route, I think it's in the last, definitely the last 3 or 4 years. I think the first year might have been a bit different, but it's definitely been the same route for the last 4 years.
Has there been any concerns with the route in past years?
No, I think we've resolved any concerns. We've had a few concerns, of course, on 50th Avenue. Past St. Anthony's, there's only access to a certain areas off of that road. So we do let people in. We just make sure that there's no athletes that are going to be any conflict when vehicles are coming and going from those areas.
Okay. Any other questions? Great. So we're going to make a motion on this. Again, Councillor Dodds.
I'd like to make a motion that council approve the temporary road closures for the Drayton Valley Triathlon on Saturday, May 12th, 2018, from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. approximately for Rotary Park area, 51 Avenue between 49th Street and 48th Street, 52nd Avenue between 49th Street and 48th Street, 48th Street between 51st Avenue and 52nd Avenue, run bike routes, 48th Street between 52nd Avenue and 55th Avenue, 55th Avenue to Meyer Avenue and 43rd Street, 43rd Street between 55th Avenue and 50th Avenue, 50th Avenue between 43rd Street and Range Road 73, Beckett Road between 50th Avenue and 49th Avenue.
All right. Thank you for reading that out loud. Is there any comments or discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I will ask the question. All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will move to decision item 7.3, which is the proposed repealing bylaw. And I will go to the CEO, Mr. Divitt, to talk about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of Ms. Dick, whose voice has unfortunately lost her today, I'll just present this item for council's consideration. Referring to pages 28 through 35 of the agenda package. Administration has conducted its annual evaluation of current bylaws in place and reviewed the requirements for each to remain in effect. On page 28 of your agenda package, there is a listing of bylaws that are being recommended for repeal. Basically, to speak to them all generally, the term of each of these bylaws has expired. Council will note that a number of them deal with debentures, local improvement levies. In those cases, the collection of the local improvement levies has been completed, so therefore the bylaws do not need to be in effect. The financing requirements for those dealing with debentures have concluded, and so as such as well, the bylaws have expired. And the finance and engineering departments of the town that they've also confirmed that each of these projects subject to those bylaws have reached a conclusion, with one exception, and that is bylaw 2004-19F, for which the project did not proceed at all, and ultimately a debenture was not required. The remainder of these bylaws included for repeal have been replaced in terms of application to municipal operations and the respective agreements to which they were referenced. So a number of these bylaws, some dealing with cost sharing in different aspects, they have been subsequently replaced by newer agreements, different aspects that are in place and as such have been superseded. One note that I had seen, the very first item, bylaw 371 dealing with fluoridation of the town of Drayton Valley water supply bylaw, passed back in 1966. But just for council's information, back in December of 2008, council passed a resolution, that's 30208. The town council permanently discontinued water fluoridation treatment in the town water supply. So with that motion on the books along those lines, we also took a look at that to determine that this bylaw would also be a candidate for repeal. If council wishes to proceed on this repeal, a draft bylaw is attached, and certainly council may wish to consider giving part or a whole reading of the bylaw today.
Thank you for that. So before we move into the motion, if there's any questions of administration. I will start just because I'm still relatively new at this. So these repeal bylaws, this is kind of a standard thing that's done on an annual basis. So I'm assuming we have similar 2017, 2016 repeal bylaws.
That's correct, sir. It's periodically, this has been, I would say in the past, more of a periodic aspect. One of the things in the past 18 months that we've endeavored to do is put in place a more definitive review process, not just of bylaws, but also of town policies and different aspects, as well as looking to put in place more defined and transparent procedures around a number of items of town operations. And so we've really moved toward being more routine, more predictable, even to the point of if we do an annual review and there are no items or no bylaws in this case that would be recommended, but we would basically bring that forward to council just as an information item.
Any other questions for administration? Okay. Is somebody willing to make a motion for the first reading of this bylaw? Councillor Peebles.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that council give first reading to repealing bylaw 2018-018.
It's kind of funny that the name that repealing bylaws and repealing the bylaws. Okay. Is there any comments or questions, discussion on this? Okay. All in favor? That is carried. Is someone willing to make a motion for a second reading? Councillor Gumana.
Make a motion that council gives second reading to repeal bylaw 2018-01/3. Thank you.
Do we have any comments or discussion on the second reading? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Is there anyone willing to make a motion to consider the third and final reading of the repeal bylaw? Councillor Peebles.
I move that council consider giving third and final reading to repealing bylaw 2018-018.
Anyone have any comments or discussions on this? Just for the sake of saying something, I will. I have no issue doing a third and final reading, and so the members of the public that may not be aware, so in the process of a bylaw, we can give the option of doing all three readings in one sitting if we all agree, and I believe it has to be unanimous that we approve the third and final reading. And so as most of these bylaws are expired, I'm not too concerned about the process. And so with that said, all in favor of considering a third and final reading? It's carried unanimously. So we can move on to making a motion for third and final reading. Mr. Vallis.
I move that council give third and final reading to repealing bylaw 2018-01A.
Okay. Any comments or discussion there? Seeing none, all in favor? Right. So that has been done. So we will move on to the addition to the agenda 7.4, which I just put Earth Month information. And then I'll move to Councillor Dodds to give us a little bit more background on that.
Thank you. So there was discussion at the Sustainability Committee in regards to what we can do this year for April. April 22nd is Earth Day, and there was discussion around maybe that we would talk about doing something for the whole month. Two of those things were selling the water bottles for the month, because the theme for Earth Day is eliminating plastics. So we have those nice fancy stainless steel water bottles that maybe we could sell at our facility, sell at the town office, the Omniplex, the swimming pool, things like that. So I would need council motion given, because I think that we only have a few hundred or something in stock, or roughly. Yeah, but we'd have to purchase more for this. And then the second thing would be also rain barrels. There is a lot of communities that they actually are so successful at it that they only do it for a couple hours and they sell out. They partner with one of the local companies, so we could either do it for for a day or a week, I'm not sure how many people will know, and sell perhaps two rain barrels per household. We partner with one of the local businesses to promote water conservation, and also this would be a way that we could also be reducing the on the sanitary side, if we're talking about disconnecting our heat and stuff like that, so we're promoting that a little bit by doing this too. So I would also need another motion from council to push it right there.
Okay, so I'll open it up to some questions first. The one question I have for the water bottles has there been any discussion on if we're actually just selling them for what our cost is? Are we subsidizing it? Are we looking to make some money off of it? And actually, with that, I'll ask administration how we, since it's been an addition to the agenda, I can tell you this is new to me as well, so just how we would proceed with this.
Just on that, thank you for that question, Mr. Mayor, because that would have been, I think, administration's question as well. Normally, when the town does offer for sale, whether products or services, those matters are included in the fee schedule. A way that can be addressed with this emergent item and given the time frame would be as if there was a motion that basically just framed then what the conditions would be. So in this case, if the intent of the Sustainability Committee was to offer to undertake this activity on the part of the town and do so at either a subsidized rate, a cost recovery rate, or at a profit rate, that could be administratively worked out for the number, but the direction would be something that administration would ask for in the wording of the motion on the water bottle item.
Okay. So that is something we will want to put into the motions, I guess. Maybe we'll start off with the water bottles. So is there any questions that we have of Councillor Dodds before someone making a motion? Councillor Peebles?
Yeah, so we already have a couple hundred of these bottles already. Is that the case? Because I'm wondering if we're jumping again, wanting to order more. Just checking.
My understanding, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Peebles, we have about 100 that would be in current stock, and whether or not council would determine that's enough, that could be advice from the Sustainability Committee, or whether they would like us to order more. The lead time for receiving those, we would have to check with the supplier, just in terms of getting those as they are branded with the Town of Green Valley logo. And depending on the amounts of that interest, there may be more or less lead time needed to secure those. So I would say, for argument's sake, we have about 100 on hand right now.
Okay. Councillor Dodds?
I know 100 seems like a lot. We were just thinking if we were to divide them up between the facilities, and selling before the month of April, if that would be, it's hard to say, right? We're guessing. So it'd be better, I think, if we did have them on hand. Like Mr. Dickinson said, if we need to order them, it could take a substantial amount of time to have them with our logo and everything else on them. So.
Okay. Sorry, one question I have of administration. If we were to order more, is there somewhere within the budget that it would be? Is there a budget line for motions and things of this nature?
Promotional items are not lined out as a separate budget code. We would look at this through the general administration expense and aspect and under the operations of that, and then it would be reconciled in whole or in part then based on the method of sale and what might be received, depending on council's directions.
Okay. Mr. Bucks, do you have
Just a question for administration. Has this been done before, or are there any concerns of execution? Like, will this be a challenge for staff to do, or
Thank you, Mr. Councilor Butts. In terms of the administration, I think we can make it work. Storage is always an issue, but depending on the quantity and if it's distributed between the different facilities, we can make it.
Okay. Councillor Gumana?
Just just wanted to get to know about the intention of the sustainability committee. So when this proposal was discussed, was it just as a token so we can promote the month and not sell these as a profit, or what was the intention behind this?
So I think that it started as, instead of just doing a day, April 22nd, that perhaps we would do the whole month if we could. It would be a month that we would educate the residents, we would offer tips, we would use social media, we'd use everything. And with it being eliminating plastics, the theme, we have just discussed ways of how we could eliminate plastics. And we do have those nice bottles. And I had asked if we are selling them. So that was just a suggestion that came up, that maybe we could, promote eliminating plastics, start selling them. And I mean, if we wanted to continue after the month of April, if we still had a couple hundred, and it was going well, then that's something that we could continue to do. I think it's something that we have to ask ourselves, do we want to make a profit? Do we want to sell them at cost? We hadn't got there as a committee yet. We're just looking at ideas because we only have such a short amount of time. So I wanted to bring it to council so then we could move forward to see if this is going to work, and then we'll start putting these education packages together, the information, the tips, and ordering if we have to, and just being ready. Same with the rain barrels too.
Okay. So I think on the water bottle, we would need a motion probably outlining, a motion if we want to sell them a price, whether it's going to be subsidized cost recovery or making a profit. And we may also want to include in the motion if we would like to possibly order more or stand pat with what we have and go from there. So if someone would like to make a motion on this? Oh, okay, Councilor.
I move that the town of Drayton Valley purchase up to 400 water bottles, steel branded, for the purpose of promoting Earth Day with a modest profit margin.
Okay. Just want to make sure if this is a quantity. So while we have a motion, is there any discussion? Councilor Butts?
My thinking with having a modest profit margin is simply that I expect we'll have leftover bottles that we'll probably want to give away promotionally. So if we make some up front, then that would hopefully be roughly break even at the end.
My comment on this is, I think, I guess with the wording of up to 400, it does give us some leeway. I would suggest that we don't want to go out and purchase 400 right away. Councilor Dobbs?
I maybe if administration could look, I know sometimes when you're ordering things like that, they will have a certain amount, like you order up to 328 and then you get it for 16 cents left, so maybe that would be the correct wording, is up to, then that way you can see what better buy is. Yeah, for that bulk discount.
Okay. So the language works to give some flexibility in that? Okay. And does the wording of a modest profit margin give you sufficient direction?
It does provide, I think, a little bit of latitude, and I think once we have a chance to go back and find out what maybe some of those bulk thresholds are, and then what the per unit price comes down, then we could, and then for the sake of rounding and just ease of purchase, I think the intent is clear that with Councillor Butts' explanation as well, to think about in terms of uptake and what that proper price point could be.
Okay. All right. So, Councillor Peebles.
Thank you. Sustainability to me is a lot more than rain barrels and water. I think that is a very important element, is being good stewards, but it also has a impact on our community as well. We want a sustainable community. We want sustainable initiatives. My thought would be any profit margin we had, it could go towards something to create sustainability within our community.
Interesting idea, and a good one, I think. I guess with the motion as laid out, there may be some requisite flexibility with that. But any other comments? All right. So with the motion of purchasing up to 400 water bottles, and selling them with a modest profit margin. I will ask all in favor. Great. So that has been carried. So we will be voting that, and now we move on to the rain barrel discussion. So any questions to Councillor Dodds on this, or Councillor Dodds, if you would like to say something? Nope. Councillor Butts and then Councillor Peebles.
We've partnered with local businesses in the past to provide rain barrels, correct? How many do we historically sell, or how has that worked in the past?
Thank you, Councillor Butts. The historian is here, so. The program in the past was a small program. It did not reach any significant numbers in terms of the number of rain barrels that were purchased. I believe that in the very beginning, the town had purchased through its sustainability committee 15 rain barrels, which were then sold to community members at a subsidized rate as a decision of the committee at that time. After that time, it was just simply a promotion of the businesses that they would sell their rain barrels at the place, at the location, at their manufacturing price. So that was then a change in how the program worked, because we saw a good interest. Instead of having the storage issue with the town, we just simply promoted the fact that the businesses themselves were selling the rain barrels at their manufacturing price.
Are there businesses selling rain barrels in town right now? Do we know? It's kind of just an open-ended question, because I don't know if that's necessarily something administration would know.
Again, currently I do not know, but I suspect that they are selling rain barrels or have the access to.
Okay. Councillor Peebles, you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, and I'm not quite the historian that you are, Ms. Teresa, but I believe that during our sustainability initiative, when I was on council previously, that we did have this. I think it was Home Hardware that people would go and they'd purchase them. They had that agreement in place. So I just want to make sure that whatever we're doing rain barrel wise, we're not getting in the way of private business.
Rain barrel business. I could probably agree with that. Any other questions on this? Councillor Butts.
Sorry, one more question for administration. How much of a headache is it to offer the energy saving rebates on locally purchased appliances?
I think it's a good question, Councillor. That's one of the, this has not, to my understanding, this was not a component of the previous program on rain barrels, but the comparable could be the POR program, that if a resident were to purchase a rain barrel and bring into administration the town or receipt evidence of said purchase for use in the town, that a credit on their utility bill could be looked at. That's how we look at for the PRO program for energy efficient appliances, whether it's washer, low-flow toilet fixtures along those lines. There might be an analogy there if that's the will of council as far as what this could look like. The question, what was done in the past about the town actually purchasing and then reselling, or whether or not the intent of the sustainability committee was to see whether or not a reprise of a previous program, that if one or all of potential businesses that sell rain barrels are that may do that, if they're willing to do that at cost or at a lower than retail rate. Certainly that legwork could be done. I'm just not certain about that and response along those lines in time for April 1 if this was to be a month-long undertaking or a larger, longer-term sustainability initiative.
Okay, Councillor Dodds.
I didn't want to overwhelm everybody today with all the additions, because our POR program was something else that I was going to bring, but I was going to push it to the next GMP. And there was discussion, because there is, I think that we did have one rain barrel in 2017, Cam had advised us, that did come back on that. So we were looking at updating the POR program. And one of the things, if we started the rain barrel program, that would be removed from so then you wouldn't be able to, that wouldn't be part of the core program. So we're in the process of updating it right now and just changing some of the terms. And and the reason, I guess, for the rain barrel, why I wanted to bring it today is so then we could move in the direction, or get administration to move in the direction to phone the businesses to see if they would get on board and cost and then what. So we needed that motion today so we could move forward with that rather than kind of do it backwards.
Would someone like to make a motion on Councillor Butts? Are you making the motion or asking a question?
Motion.
Okay, sure.
I move that the town of Drayton Valley offer the lesser of $50 and the cost of a rain barrel credit to residents' utility bills following the core program protocol.
Great. Any discussion on the motion made? Councillor Dodds, had her hand up first.
So are you saying to make it part of the core program?
Councillor Butts.
I'm just saying, rather than have to purchase rain barrels and try and sell them and store them and all that, that we simply offer an incentive to residents to purchase rain barrels in following that framework of offering credit on a utility bill. And the reason why I think it's reasonable to offer a rebate to residents for that is because there is a significant cost to the town for the inflow and infiltration of stormwater runoff. And so if all of our residents used rain barrels to reduce that runoff, it would reduce our capital requirements for wastewater purposes, which would be a savings to the town. So even if every household bought 2 rain barrels, the cost would be large, but compared to the cost that we're looking at for wastewater treatment and all that, it would be nominal.
Okay, Councillor Peebles.
I feel like this is something that we might need to send back to the Sustainability Committee to just be really solid and clear on the plan. I think maybe if we had something tentatively laid out for this year as kind of a trial run, but as far as that goes, I don't have enough information. I don't know what system we would use as a basis for whether they purchased it within this time frame or what the time period was. I don't know how private business feels about it, so I think we could do a bit more homework on it. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what we would do for this year because we're talking since April.
Correct.
Yeah, so that is quickly approaching. So,
Yeah. Councillor Gumana.
I love the idea, but I will echo the same message as Councillor Peebles. I think we need a discussion on this and a little bit more information so we can have a better idea of what we are deciding.
Thank you. Anyone else? So my 2 cents on this. Again, I do appreciate the idea, and I appreciate the wording of the motion to make it easier for administration. But my stance on this would be at this point for the administrative cost and for doing this, I don't know if the benefit is necessarily there. So that's my thoughts on that. I do like the water bottle idea. It's simplistic. We have something that is symbolic and it's also related to Drayton Valley selling it. But the rain barrel idea, I don't know if I can necessarily get behind. So any other comments or questions before I go to Councillor Dodds?
Just not to put you on the spot, Sonia, but not unless you want to try to sell them on the disconnect and the stormwater. Or if you have any comments in regards to it. Is there something that I missed, do you think, from our meeting?
I think that there needs to be a bit more discussion and to be able to flush that out, just to show the transparency and what the benefits would be. We don't have those dollar figures to be able to present right now. and we need that direction from council.
All right, so on the rain barrel motion presented with us, all in favor? All opposed? That was defeated, so we will be moving forward with water bottles, but we won't be moving forward with the rain barrel motion. Okay, so I would like to get through this because we are having our governance of party meeting in this room, so I'm not going to have a break right now, and so I'm going to move to 8.0 in the department reports, engineering and development. Mr. Wigglesworth.
Good morning, Council, Mr. Mayor. The Public Works have wrapped up the residential cleanup for the snow removal, and as of Friday, there was 3,000 truckloads roughly of snow removed from the town, and that amounted to being able to fill the Park Valley pool just over 70 times. So we're continuing with cleanup, just picking up some loose ends of the snow around town, and that's about it.
Okay, any questions, comments in the engineering department? Seeing none, we will move to item 8.2, community services and FCSS. Ms. Priestley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. A few things. I guess to start off on the heels of the Olympics, I felt it was time that instead of being a spectator, that I started to participate in some of these sports myself. So I went off to the Pembina North Cross Country Ski Trail System, and I will have to say to our community that we have one of the best cross country ski systems in Alberta. So I highly encourage people to participate in some of the events and some of the activities that they promote at the Pembina North Ski Trail Systems, and of course not just the ones located north of town, but also the ones that are just adjacent to our local cemetery. That, of course, in terms of the events that they've been hosting in addition to their Loppet, but some of the big competitions that I think that they can see at the Nordic Ski Trail System. That, of course, is going to expand in terms of the club's initiatives with the Nordic Outdoor Education and Event Center, and then, of course, on March 18th, of course, some major presentations being planned by the Nordic Club with respect to that project. I want to talk a bit about Family Day in terms of some of the activities that happened at Family Day. We had, of course, a number of things going on within the community, which is great, not just simply hosted with the town, but also with local organizations such as the Parks Council. They had about 40 people that participated in their programs, either through actual registrations and again with volunteers on their trail system. The local ski hill opened, and I think that a lot of people were excited about that because we heard word that quite a few people were taking in the events that were happening at the local ski hills. So that's great to have that facility back on. Within our own activities, I know just flipping the burgers and wasn't sure of everything that was going on, but I know that the council members that were present, thank you for doing the meet and greet at the Family Day activity held at the Aspen Waste Management site. And in terms of, I don't know how many burgers I flipped, but I don't know how many people were actually there consuming them. But we had a good crowd, and the line was steady, so I'm going to assume that everything was also the same sort of lineup at the tobogganing hill and for such things such as the face painting and some of the other activities like the wagon rides. Our other facilities were busy as well too, between the Omniplex with the Total Works Fitness Center as well as the public skating, and then also with Family Day at the Park Valley Pool. It's also their opportunity to promote the sale of family passes at the Family Day activity, and they sold 60 passes, family passes, that day. So that's a huge indicator of the activities there. And I know that based on their occupancy, they were very close to occupancy. I think they saw 173 patrons during Family Day in the swimming pool. So that was great. And as far as just in terms of the budget, things went really well. We were well under budget for the Family Day activities. So kudos to the community for the number of activities that happened during Family Day. Spring registration night, just want to make sure people understand March 21st is the spring registration night from 6 to 8 at the Omniplex. Again, an opportunity for local organizations to promote what's going on in the summer. So whether that's soccer, baseball, or some of the other activities. I know there's also some discussion about seeing if we can't plan a lacrosse league. So if there are individuals who are curious or interested in lacrosse, we're reaching out to the community to see if there's a core group that we can pull together to bring that event. Because there are a lot of small communities that have similar leagues, and so that could be an easy tie-in to some of those leagues. Same thing too, looking at meeting with minor ball, rugby, and soccer regarding the annual schedule for the year, and making sure that we're okay with what we have for ball diamonds. On the capital planning side, we are of course looking at the need for additional enhancements to our sport fields, whether that's with just simply expanding the fall lines within some of our diamonds, or if it's just simply looking at a new diamond to replace what we did lose in the past with respect to diamonds. What else? The Omniplex, of course, for those who were in attendance at the Toronto Maple Leafs alumni game. Whew, that was exciting. So I think that there have been a lot of comments received by the organizing committee to do similar things in the future, whether it's with Toronto Maple Leafs or the Oilers alumni. Are they
Wade Gretzky.
hopefully we... Anyway, that one, as well as all of the other activities, including the festival with the figure skating, their annual festival. Things are going pretty well there. Actually, just a good news story coming out of the Omniplex. We've had some improvements done to our sound system within the Mackenzie Conference Center and the curling rink. It's just a tidbit story, but the contractors who were installing the system found an old wallet in behind one of the walls. So the staff, of course, had to figure out whether this wallet was anything to identify it with, and they found an old lottery ticket that dates back to 1991. So through social media, thank you, social media, they contacted the wife of the gentleman who owned the wallet, and she said, yeah, for 27 years they've been wondering whatever happened to that wallet. So they were rejoined, and yeah, the husband was surprised. Good news story. It's just a cute story.
Was the lottery ticket a winner?
Yeah. I didn't want to go there. So that's my report.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Annette? Mr. Egan, I should say, sorry. Yeah, I do. I have heard their Nordic ski trails are, I think, I heard something like top 5 in Alberta. It is quite impressive what they've done out there. There's a big push for me to someday cross-country ski. And every year I say I will, and every year another winter passes and I don't. But someday I will. And I do, we have Family Day festivities across the town, held on by the town and other organizations. Tip the hat to the town of Drayton Valley for coming together and making that a great day. There's a lot going on. So with that, 8.3, emergency services.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just going to take a little bit of your time today. Direct your attention to page 42 and 43 of your council package in regards to the January 2018 stats. There's a little bit of a typo there. It says January 2017, it should be 2018 stats. So for the month of January, the fire department was very busy. We responded to 27 calls through the month. 3 of them were fire calls. One of them was a residential structure fire, which had a total loss to the residents, unfortunately. We also had a garage fire as well as a vehicle trailer fire. In regards to rubbish and grass fires, we had one small fire at the Aspen Waste Facility, which there was no real damage other than garbage being burnt. We also had a small grass fire on one of the roadways. I know it sounds kind of strange with all the snow, but we did have a small grass fire on the roadways. In terms of motor vehicle collisions, we responded to 7. 3 were two-vehicle motor vehicle collisions, 4 were single vehicle rollovers, all of which had the occupants receiving minor injuries, and the majority of those were all weather-related situations. In terms of alarm calls, we responded to 8 for the month of January. 2 involved apartment buildings. 2 were also commercial businesses, and then we also had 4 residential alarms. In terms of assisting other agencies, we responded to 6 calls for service. All of them were to assist EMS. 2 of them involved senior individuals. One of them was unconscious, the other one was having trouble breathing. We responded to a youth that was unconscious and unresponsive that we had to assist EMS with. We responded to patients that had fallen down some stairs and needed some assistance. We also had a young adult that again was unconscious and not breathing when we responded. And the last one was a lift and assist call that we responded to EMS with for a total of 6. In the final category, under miscellaneous calls, was 1, and it was involving an odor complaint. But when we arrived on scene, there was nothing that was found, and that took us to a total of 27 calls for the month of January. And then it's my
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Thompson? Councillor Peebles.
Yeah, just a question for you, Tom. Just because I'm not sure, I'm just not aware, maybe you can give me some info on it, but I noticed you guys do get called out to a lot of motor vehicle collisions and assisting a lot of these different agencies. Is it just a thing where they can't get there in time so they need you guys to come, or I'm just wondering how that relationship works. You know, sometimes it seems like you guys have a lot more of an emergency services mandate covering a wide spectrum of things than really just fire.
Thank you, Councillor Peebles, for the question. It involves a lot of things. There are times, and this is something that has been brought to council many times before, where our EMS service is not in the immediate facility, or not in the immediate area, where we have our ambulances going on transfers to the city. Consequently, they bring another ambulance in our vicinity, not in the town, but in the vicinity. So if both of our ambulances are on transfers to the city, they will park a bus between Breton and the town, or they'll park a bus between Evansburg and the town. Consequently, they're not right in the town. They are in proximity. So when there is a call, we are called quite frequently to assist with medical situations, and so we do arrive. Many times we do arrive first on scene, start the initial medical procedures, and then when EMS arrives, they take over. So that's what the history has in our community. We've also had situations where the more hands you have, the better. And in some of these situations, when you're dealing with a cardiac arrest, the more people you have to carry equipment to help work with the patient, the better off that patient will be at the end of the day. So that's another factor that plays into it. Recently, a lot of the medical calls we've been getting have been drug related. We have a drug issue in the local community for the last little while, and we have been responding to a lot of young adults, which is a big concern to us, and that's something that hopefully we can eliminate from our community at some point.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? So we will move to 8.4, CEO Administration. Mr. Diven.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In In the interest of time, I'll be brief to get on to, I think, what other matters of interest discussion are. I just wanted to advise council, the Director of Corporate Services is accompanying the Deputy Mayor and the Community Lead. They are in Jinotega, Nicaragua this week as a part of our partnership with Federation of Canadian Municipalities and their international programs. They will be there through this week into next week, and we look forward to having them come back and anticipate in the coming weeks and months a return visit from municipal and municipal association officials from Nicaragua into our community. And then the project, which is a 2-year project, and how that unfolds after that. Because we are always conscious about this, I just wanted to also make the point that the costs, hard and soft, associated with this are covered by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, not by the town of Drayton Valley or by the host municipality in Nicaragua for participation in this effort. The only other element I wanted to just bring up with council briefly, and it's a matter that we will be doing some ongoing analysis of, is the federal budget that was delivered yesterday in Ottawa. The budget had significant and specific focal areas. Unfortunately, municipalities did not appear to be one of those. The only obvious infrastructure municipal announcement was for $100 million over 5 years for rural internet access and wireless access. There were mentions that may get into more of a municipality aspect about the federal government willing to provide cannabis enforcement resources to municipalities. But in the actual body of the budget, those resources are being provided to the provinces. And it will be up to the provinces then to make the determination about how some of those resources will flow through. We, of course, actively look for information on capital and from infrastructure support. I regrettably have to pass along that this budget takes $7.2 billion out of federal infrastructure spending over the next 2 years and reallocates it to line department spending. Whether that is operational or capital is not yet known. We know that the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Upper Urban Municipalities Association, and their policy resources are doing some ongoing analysis. That hasn't been provided to us yet as members. We're hoping to see some more detail of that later on today. But the statement of the federal government in that is that this money, the 7.2, will be made up in the longer horizon from lower department spending in those horizons. And the concern, of course, is if 7.2 is being pulled in 2 years to fund departmental spending, the likelihood or the ability to get that commensurate amount out, whether indexed or not, from those same departments or other departments is a really big wild card that makes longer term planning difficult. We are now going to have to wait for the provincial budget, in that an awful lot of provincial support outside of the Municipal Sustainability Initiative is actually through Building Canada program, the federal gas tax, monies that actually come from the federal government. So the ripple effect of what that may mean and the ability or the willingness of the provincial government to commensurate, offset, make up for that, I suspect there was no comment from the provincial finance minister on infrastructure and capital in his remarks yesterday. I suspect that they were caught a bit unawares of this as well and are probably realizing that there's a significant ripple here that could impact their budget plans and their aspects, or even what they're able to fund or honor their commitments to. Of course, the last year we did see from the provincial government when they were musing about pulling money back and not honoring previous Building Canada Fund commitments, it did cause us to halt certain projects and not proceed past the design and engineering stage. The most notable of that, of course, is the South Sanitary Trunk Line project. We now will wait. That appears to be even more prudent in terms of what now this year's budget has brought. So hopefully in the subsequent days we might get a little bit more detail. But in terms of what longer term capital needs are for municipalities, and certainly our own, we did not see any hopeful signs to help address those in yesterday's federal budget.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Any comments or questions from Mr. David? All right, so we'll move to 9.1, Councillor Demana, Councillor reports.
Thank you, Your Worship. busy few weeks. On Monday, February 5th, I attended the Homelessness and Poverty Reduction Committee meeting. On February 10th, I had the privilege of attending the El Dorado Playground Committee Valentine's Day Gala. It was a very well organized function and had the opportunity to listen to an inspiration guest speaker, Chelsea Hagan, who talked about challenges for people with disabilities and how an accessible playground can help not only physically but also socially by making new friendships. On Wednesday the 14th, I had the Economic Development Committee meeting and had another round of discussion about CTC, Trade Valley tourism opportunities and economic development as a whole. On the 17th, I attended the Toronto Maple Leaf alumni game and just watched a good game of hockey. It was bearably out there, so thank you. I welcome the residents at the Family Day event on February 19th. It was windy and chilly, but managed to survive the whole 1 hour shift there. Thank you, Councillor Butts, for giving me a heads up on what to expect. And also, regardless of the weather, it was a successful event with good turnout. So thank you for the town staff who helped organizing that event. On February 21st, Pembina Official Recruitment Committee had the annual appreciation dinner at 55 Plus Club, and I had the opportunity to meet and greet healthcare professionals who are keeping our community healthy. And thank you, Committee Chair Farrell and Committee for organizing that event as well. Thank you.
Councillor Butts. Thank you, Your Worship. February 7th, which was our last regular meeting, I attended the Municipal Governance Workshop with George Cup. It was very interesting. I didn't make it to the second day, but it's great training for what council is supposed to do. February 12th, I had the Headwaters Alliance Steering Committee meeting here in Drayton Valley, and so that committee looks at the various tributaries and headwaters of the North Saskatchewan watershed, and we discussed the background of the committee history because there are plenty of new people. Interesting fact, Alberta only uses about 3% of the North Saskatchewan flow that comes through Alberta. 97% flows to Saskatchewan, so there's lots of water. We discussed various projects that have been completed, specifically a new system they developed for assessing tributary health without having to walk the tributaries. It's about 60 to 70% as effective as walking, so it gives you enough detail to identify problem areas without the cost of boots on the ground. And then where there are areas that have problems, using the satellite data, they can put boots on the ground to assess them and then try and mitigate those areas so that our water remains of good quality, so we don't have any issues with our water source as a town and as a watershed. We also discussed a bit about fire risks and risks to the health of the water in general for being a rural community, and also discussed how TransAlpha's work will impact water levels. On February 12th, the same day, I also attended the Shell Medical Clinic's grand opening and ribbon cutting on behalf of His Worship. Got a tour of the new clinic. It's very nice. They Camden Construction renovated the property, and they have a focus on being a more modern clinic. One of the goals is that by having something that is good quality, looks nice, somewhere you want to be, it's more enticing to a doctor looking to make a move. So I think the efforts that that clinic is making to improve rural health care for our community bodes well for the future of that care. And I also am excited that they're partnering with the Primary Care Network as well as Rocky Mountain House Hospital to help bring back baby birthing in Drayton Valley. It's a long-term goal, certainly, but the fact that they're making efforts and developing partnerships, I think, is very positive. February 19th was Family Day. I did meet and greet in the nice cold wind. Lots of people came. It was very nice. And then later I came with my family and enjoyed the tobogganing and the hamburgers. It was great, well organized. It was nice to have the fire truck there. So I especially love that. But I will say, going to Ivantoe Park afterwards with our Ice Quake Hills, Pilates is a lot nicer because you don't have to walk so And February 22nd was a Brazil Foundation meeting. It was a regular organizational meeting for us, but it also included a truck donation presentation between Brazil County and Town of Drayton Valley, which is nice. And from that meeting, there will be a small advocacy piece that I will be bringing to town and county councils on behalf of the foundation in its partnerships with government agencies. And then February 24th was the Skate Carnival for the Fair Skate Club, which the town contributed money towards. And I spoke on behalf of his worship and said how much council loves to support recreation, so it's very nice. And finally, in terms of the budget, certainly there's some financial issues that are not pleasant for municipalities, as Mr. Dibbon has pointed out. But I will say one positive thing for our community is that aspects of tax changes for small businesses were almost completely repealed. The Liberals had brought in some big changes in July and then updated in October and December. The previous council passed a motion to send a letter opposing them, and accountants and tax advisors and lawyers and everyone have been fighting it tooth and nail. And thankfully that was changed, because that would have been very negative for our community, for the small businesses here. And that's our report.
Thank you. 9.3, Councilor Ballas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On February 7th and 8th, I attended the George Cup workshop. Found that very informative and very valuable information. On the 14th of February, Economic Development Committee meeting. The 17th of February, the Maple Leaf Alumni Game was very entertaining, and I want to thank the organizing committee for putting on this function. It was well attended and well received. February 21st, Governance and Priorities meeting. And then on February 22nd, I attended the first Aquatic Facility Fund Development meeting. And I'd like to thank Annette for the background information on this committee. It's been in existence, I guess, since 2006. Is that correct? Somewhere around that time. And they've been spinning wheels for a long time. And it's come to the point where either both councils have to get on board, the county council and our town council have to get on board with a financial commitment in order for this committee to continue and be able to do what they're mandated to do. Right now, without any financial commitment, they're spinning their wheels basically and getting nowhere. So if they want to explore additional funding, fundraising, grants, we have to get a commitment from councils. On February 26th, attended the DB Community Foundation meeting. Again, over there, they're still looking for fundraising ideas as well. So if anybody's got any ideas, you're certainly welcome to pass them on to them. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, 9.4, Councilor Peebles.
Thank you, Worship. On February 7th and 8th, I attended George Cupp's governance training, which was really good, I think, for really anybody who sits on a board structure of any kind. It was very good, helpful information. On February, I can't read my own writing, Family Day anyway, 19th, yeah, was at Aspen Waste. I was smarter than Amila and went and barbecued so I could warm up. And it was awesome. Served a lot of burgers. I think going forward, it's something maybe we can visit on Friday at our joint council meeting. But I would love to see a partnership between town and county, kind of spread out across the municipality. The ski hill got a lot of traction this year. I know we didn't have as many people at Aspen Waste, but people were doing a lot of great things in the community, between the pool, the economic flex. There was so much to offer that day, and it was a day I was very proud of our community. What do we have? February 14th, we had our Economic Development Committee. We're working hard to come up with plans to make the Clean Energy Technology Center a sustainable piece and an asset to the community in a better way. And it's a committee that I do not intend to see sticking around for a long, long time, because we're trying to get a more, I'd say, organic approach to economic development. February 16th, we had a hemp industry call. So They called me in as the chair of the Alberta Hemp Alliance. It was a call kind of across Alberta. There's a whole bunch of different groups that are trying to get together, and I think Alberta is just trying to get itself figured out for what we have to offer as far as the hemp industry goes, because as far as growing it, as far as we are set up as a community, we are light years ahead of a lot of other places as a province. On February 17th, I attended the Toronto Alumni Game. It was great. It was a lot of fun. People were really excited about it. I'm not a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but it was fun watching our former mayor, Mohammed, crash into the boards. But he also scored a couple goals, but it was good. But there was a lot of people that participated, a lot of people that contributed money to play against the alumni, and it was a fun night. It was really good. I look forward to more things like that. February 22nd, I had a meeting with the mayor and our MLA Mark Smith and our MP Jim McGlinskey. And I think Manny Dill was there as well. We talked a lot about the hemp industry, different opportunities. We've been receiving emails now about different funding opportunities that we can get. We started talking about some of our issues that we see with policing. The conversation kind of went everywhere, but there was a lot of value that came from being able to get the mayor, our MLA, and our MP together and just sit and have a conversation. So I was excited that as the chair of the Alberta Hemp Alliance, I could sneak into that meeting and glean from it. February 23rd, I went to the Beehive Talent Show, and that was just something fun. There was a few of them that got together, put this thing on. Guys, it was so much fun. The last time, I think they didn't have enough people that were willing to make it, and there was like 50 people there. It was so much fun. It was awesome. But my kid got tired of eating French fries and started screaming, so we had to leave a little early, but for what I was there for, it was awesome. And February 26th, I was at the Eagle Point Blue Rapids meeting. One issue they're having is some funding is held up at one of the minister's desks, and it's been held up for quite some time. They say it's coming, but they don't know yet. If that funding doesn't come available within the next month, they will have depleted the reserves enough that they'll have to potentially shut down for a short period of time, which would not be ideal. In the meantime, they're looking at opportunities to increase their sponsorship and even entertaining the idea of a zip line. There's a company that's said we are set up well to have a zip line in the area, and that would be pretty stellar in our community. That is my report. Thank you.
9.5, Councillor Dodds.
So on February 7th, I attended the Municipal Governance George Cuff workshop. I see why he is well respected in the municipal world. It was very informative, and I learned a lot. On February 12th, I attended the Healthy Community Coalition. On February 14th, the Economic Development Committee. On February 16th, I attended the Municipal Law Seminar in Edmonton. There was discussion around the Canadian Free Trade Agreement and how it's changing things, the current rules, and how they affect municipalities and the impacts of these changes. We discussed again ICFs and ways to make these work. There was a big discussion around the legalization of cannabis and municipalities' roles in regulating cannabis use. So that's a big one, of course. It's coming soon. They did talk that the expectation instead of July probably would be more August, September, they're thinking now of this year. And February 20th, I attended the Sustainability Committee. We had discussion around the CORE program and updating that and some of the things that we may change a little bit. Earth Day is April 22nd. We discussed ideas in which we could participate in that as a community and as councillors and everything like that. So if any of you have any ideas of what we want to be doing that day, maybe if you want to ride your bike or give everybody a ride or something, that would be wonderful to hear. On February 22nd was the Aquatic Facility Fund Committee. And I think we did discuss a little bit about maybe changing that name because it was a very long name. And I appreciate what Councillor Vallis said. I agree. There was discussion around the net zero study and that we also need to meet with Joint Council to discuss the next steps in moving forward with this. And that is it for me.
Okay. Thank you. So I am last, and so I know most councillors mentioned the February 7th George Cuff governance meeting. I'm just going to bring it up one last time. I think it's great for, obviously, for elected officials to attend, but I think it'd be even more beneficial for non-elected officials, and I know some people in this crowd did attend it. I think it should be mandatory for when you turn 18, so you actually know what your municipal government or is kind of responsible for, and and what to look for in an elected official, and what you can do to make change. So I thought that was a very informative meeting. On actually from February 10th to 14th, I bit the bullet. I went on a vacation with my family. I had 3 children, ranging from 4 months to 4 years old. It was better than I thought it would be, but still, it was a bit of a challenge, and I appreciate the councillors that were able to step up in my absence and go to a few of the events and represent our town. February 17th, there was the alumni game where I had the privilege of dropping the puck, and again, I was there with a 4-year-old, so we were more concerned about popcorn and hot dogs than we were about watching the hockey game, but I still had a good chance to walk around and talk to a few people. February 21st was the Permanent Physicians Dinner. Again, this was my first opportunity to attend one of these, give a little welcome speech, and just talk to a few of the physicians and I guess even dentists and pharmacists within our community. February 22nd was a relatively busy day with, as Councillor Peebles mentioned, the meeting with Jim Aglinski and Mark Smith, as well as Councillor Peebles and Manny Dewell, talk about a few things and how we can work together to move our community forward. And then I left that meeting to do the photo opportunity with the truck that was donated to the Brazeau Seniors Foundation. The truck was donated by Brazeau County, but financial considerations were given from the town of Drayton Valley. It's one of those small wins that Mr. Dion likes to talk about, and I agree it's a small win for both of our communities to work together for the betterment of everyone. And then February 22nd, I did have my first Mayor's Advisory Committee meeting. It was 2 hours, a lot of discussion. I think it went pretty well. Had some new members, some returning members, and kind of canvassing the community to see what their thoughts were. I had a lot of topics of discussion, and those meeting minutes should be coming forward shortly, I would imagine. And yeah. And the last thing I would like to end on was just recently there was the 22nd Annual Consulting Engineers of Alberta Showcase Awards, the Gala 2018. And under the category of water resource and energy production, the town of Drayton Valley and our new water treatment facility was actually the award winner of excellence. We did win the top prize for water resource and energy production with our water treatment facility. So that's a great achievement for our community, and it's excellent recognition for what we're doing. I think there should be a media release out shortly, kind of detailing that a little bit more. But it's the basis of the prize. It's more than just a water treatment facility. It is a kind of a sustainable and a learning resource for other municipalities, and so something that we can be proud of as a town. And yeah. So from that is the end of my report. So I will go to item 10.0, information items. 10.1, Economic Development Committee Notes, January 2014, 2018. 10.2, Sustainability Committee Notes for January 16, 2018. 10.3, Drayton Valley Brazeau County Fire Services for January 2018. 10.4, RCMP Stats, January 2018. 10.5, Councillor Dodd's Conference Report, Meetings 101. Can I get a motion to adopt these as information? Councillor Peebles, all in favor? And with that, I will adjourn our regular council meeting at 10:43. Let's take a quick, we'll call it a 7-minute break. So 10 to 11, we will reconvene back at this location for our governance party meeting. And I know some people very patiently sat through that because we will be discussing our canvas. So